You want to see how we do it in the pros?
Changing your swing is about repetition without repetition. You don't just hit 500 balls with this thing and change your swing. You also don't just hit 500 balls without a thought.
Welcome to Earned Not Given.
Welcome to the Earned Not Given podcast. This is episode 2, and I'm so grateful to have Teťák in the house. I've had the privilege of coaching Teddy since 2015. Through these 9 years, we've had incredible times, ups and downs, and hopefully through today's conversation, we can share some of the reasons why our relationship has flourished, why he's excelling at this sport, and how we became not just a coach and a student, but great friends through this journey. So, Teddy, welcome to the pod, bro.
Thanks for having me, ZP.
So for everybody listening, which is based on my last look, about 2 people, but for everybody listening, give them a little bit of background. Obviously, people will be able to hear the accent and understand that you're not from the United States, but just a quick synopsis of how you end up sitting here in 2024.
So I'm originally from Slovakia. I've been in the States since about 2007, and my golf journey has taken me through the hands of many great coaches. And in 2015, I ended up in your hands, and that's how we ended up here. That's how our relationship has developed over time, where you're almost like another father figure to me, and it has been very special. And the journey that we're on right now together, I think, is only beginning.
I agree, and let's give some context to these people, right? You came to Florida as a young golfer. You moved to Bradenton. You attended the IMG Academy. You came here when you were 11?
I was 7 years old when I started at IMG Academy.
7 years old, moved from Slovakia to a full-time junior golf academy. You played the junior tours. At that time, I think Teddy looked like he was 20 years old, but he was only 7. Still growing, still getting bigger. Every time I go someplace, I just tell him it's my bodyguard, not my student. But so at 7, you're competing in the U.S., trying to get better. What made you and your family take that jump from Slovakia to the U.S.?
So primarily, it's the weather isn't the greatest in Europe. And the first time I came here was in the winter of 2007, tried out IMG Academy. And we figured out that there was a great program there where you had half-day school, half-day sports, and that really appealed to my parents. They were like, okay, you can do your education, but at the same time develop your golf game as a young golfer at the time, and it has been very beneficial to my development as a human overall.
Yeah, and then our paths crossed at some junior tournaments. I would see you, but we didn't really know each other. You were probably just beating my kids' brains in, hitting it 300 yards at like 11 years old. But at a point, you decided to come to an academy where I was the director, and you came there and you flourished you joined Bishops Gate in 2015?
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, and so I had the privilege of then coaching you and being a part of your development, and we had some crazy times there. You spent one summer getting ready for the U.S. Junior, and everyone that knows me knows like I'm about how to practice and how to create adversity, right? And to have that optimal challenge point. I created a task for Teddy on the golf course that was probably too hard. I think it took us almost a month to complete, and we never actually completed it.
I actually have not completed that task, and it's been, 7 years?
Yeah, so this task was about he had to hit the green, he had to make a birdie, he had to move on, and it was amazing. We spent a whole summer prepping for the U.S. Junior. We go out to the middle of nowhere in Flint Hill. What the heck was that name?
It was in Wichita, Kansas. I think Flint Hills was the golf club.
Yeah, so Flint Hills in Wichita, Kansas. We feel like we couldn't be more prepared. Teddy goes out the first round. Somehow I end up being a caddy, which is a whole nother story that we'll get to at the end, because my coaching might have evolved and our relationship might have evolved, but based on our experience this summer, my caddy skills have not evolved. But going back to the U.S. Junior, you play the first round, you struggle a little bit. Dinner that night was a little bit awkward, let's just say. And then the next day, before we go out, I don't know what made me do it, but I said to you, we're not going to the first tee until you chip in. Give these guys a little background on that scenario and what played out.
Yeah, so I mean, the first round was definitely a struggle, but it was more of nerves and everything. And I think the mental game, you could say, that you assigned me before the second round of trying to make, 10-yard chip in, basic bump and run. And with the nerves and the tension I had in my body, it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. We almost missed our tee time.
Yeah, I remember your dad looking at us when Herb, the famous USGA announcer, said, Tadeáš Teťák to the tee. And I just waved him. So we'll be right there. About 5 chips later, he said, guys, you got to go. And Teddy looked at me. He said, what are we going to do? I said, we're not leaving. It was like Wolf of Wall Street. I was like, we're not leaving. We're not leaving. And you finally chipped it in.
Finally, after 50 attempts, 60 attempts?
Yeah, and luckily he chipped it in because I'm not sure what Teddy's dad would have done if we had gotten a 2-stroke penalty for being late to the tee. So you chip it in. And then tell these people what happened next.
So I arguably had the best start I will ever have in my entire life playing a tournament. Started eagle, birdie, birdie, par, birdie.
Unbelievable, right? So I went from about to get fired from your dad because we were going to miss our tee time to I think I could have asked him for anything on the 6th hole and he would have ordered it for me, flown it in, whatever. It was amazing. So needless to say, you go on and have an incredible round of golf that day.
Yeah, I think it was the low round of the day for sure. And it was the best thing about the round was that I was in the flow state. I wasn't really thinking about it. Everything was just falling into place, and it was just a fun time out there.
Yeah, and so you shoot the low round. You get to go on to match play. We end up drawing Ryan Gerard, who's now playing on the PGA Tour, and he kind of had a start like you had in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play bad at all in the first round of that match play, that US Junior, but I just simply got outplayed. I played great, lost on the 16th hole if I remember well, but it was a fun battle. Like, I got beat by the better guy that day, but yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, there's so many good times. We could probably do an entire podcast on the US Junior or the Dustin Johnson stands out to me, or what was that? That was the DJ, right? The first year of the DJ?
Yeah, first year of the DJ at, TPC Myrtle Beach, where I had a really good showing. I think I finished second, and that was, I would say, one of my that started my junior career. That propelled me higher up in the AJGA rankings, junior golf scoreboard, and from there, it opened up a lot of doors for me.
Yeah, and there was something unique about that DJ. You remember what Ian and I tasked you to do for that tournament?
Yeah, so you guys tasked me to do, you could say, this plan of action for every day. Like, what am I going to do from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed after the round? And it was process goals I outlined for myself they weren't completion goals. It was more of mentally being prepared for what the day is going to throw at me.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And obviously, we created that because at that time you needed some structure and you probably needed to be a little bit more process oriented. You probably needed to shift your focus, right? And you thrived in that moment. And for me to see you here now and to see you out on tour, you're still applying some of those things that you learned. So I talk too much, so I want to turn this over to you. But in these 9 years, right, I've said some smart things. We've made some mistakes. We've had some amazing times. We've had some arguments. We've shared tears. We've shared beers when you win or when you celebrate. So just kind of give me what you took from this 9-year relationship. By the way, we're not breaking up. This isn't one of these weird things. This is just, I'd like to hear, Teddy.
So, I mean, I think we got to start where when I first joined the Bishop Gates Golf Academy, you weren't my first coach there. I was actually drawn to your style of coaching, seeing it from afar. And it wasn't the typical, like, practice session you would think. It was more of getting in that tournament zone as close as you can in practice mode. And it just looked more fun. So I think I tried 2 coaches before I actually ended up with you at Bishop Gates in 2015, 2016. And from there, it was just the relationship that we have formed between one another, it's not the typical relationship you could say a player and coach have. Like, I want you to be hard at me. Like, I don't mind getting tough love, but at the same time, if somebody's going to give me tough love, I'm going to give them tough love back. That's just the way I am. And it's a good balance where we both take constructive criticism, in my opinion, and that helps us get better as a team. Because, yeah, golf is an individual sport, but at the end of the day, you're only going to be as good as the team you have around yourself. And I think you as my coach now and for the foreseeable future, for sure, I don't think it's ever going to change.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. I think in the 9 years, obviously seeing you excel as a golfer has been amazing, but you've transformed yourself as a human. When I first met you, I don't think the gym was your favorite place. I don't think you valued some of these styles of practice that we talked about, and now you do them all the time. The cool thing about our relationship is you're here now kind of wrapping up your winter camp, if you will. You come here and you train for a couple months, and then you go on and you play Challenge Tour events, Pro Golf Tour events, and who knows, right? You play good in those and you're in the DP, or you're going to Monday qualify for a Corn Ferry. But seeing your evolution as a person is amazing. For the listeners to understand, the real goal for me with this podcast is not to have you tell me nice things or me to tell you nice things, but let's add value to the listeners with what does it actually look like to be a professional golfer like yourself. You obviously played college golf in the U.S. You were successful, but I really want to make this podcast about your pro career because it's hard for people to understand pro golf. They think pro golf is, Ludwig Aubert, and you come through the PGA Tour U, and the next thing you know, you play 4 or 5 events, and you're in the Ryder Cup, and then you're coming in second at Pebble Beach last week. Your journey's different. I don't want people to think that means you're not as good as Ludwig. It's just different. So can you explain kind of what pro golf looks like, what you're playing, and ultimately what those aspirations for you as a pro are?
So, my situation is definitely different than from some of the guys you see on TV, whether it's Ludwig or it's Nick Dunlap. I'm taking more of the route where it's a very long grind and persistence and patience will prevail at the end. It's hard. Like, you think you're a great junior golfer, but you go out there against the professionals, they're all as good as you. At the end of the day, we can all hit it 300, we can all hit it close, we can all chip, we can all putt. But the mind is what separates you from your competitors, and staying patient is what you need, in my opinion, to one day have even the opportunity to play in majors or PGA Tour events.
Amazing. So let's pull on that a little bit. If the mind is the differentiator, what are some of the things that you're doing, right? Whether it's while you're here or when you're back in Slovakia between events, or it's when you're at a Challenge Tour event or a pro golf event, what are you doing to prepare yourself for a tournament to have that little bit of an edge over your competitors?
I'm still learning how to do it. I still haven't learned how to control my mind, but it's learning every day what you need to do to be best prepared for the next round of golf you're going to have. I used to be the guy, if I played bad, to go to range, hit thousands of balls, be like, all right, I got to hit some good shots. But at the end of the day, if you can play good while you don't have your best, that's what I'm striving to do. Like, you're never going to be hitting the ball good every day, but you have to be able to score even when you're not having the day you want to have on the golf course.
Yeah, and I think, obviously, when you say you're not hitting the ball well, that's very different from the club golfer or a junior golfer that I coach, right? Like, people come when you're practicing with me at the academy, people come and they just watch, and we'll be in a lesson and there'll be 3 or 4 of the juniors or 2 or 3 of the staff just watching you strike balls. And what's enjoyable about you is you're always trying to get better. Even the way that you made that statement of talking about the mental game, that you're not there yet. That's truly a growth mindset. And I think in this journey that we've had, you went from kind of a young golfer that thought they knew what they needed to do and had this fixed mindset of, I have to practice this way, I have to eat this the night before a tournament, I have to wear this brand of clothing or whatever it was when we were young. And now you're very much willing to embrace adversity, and that's awesome. So what's the season look like, right? You're wrapping up here in a week or so, and then you head off to where?
So I'm going home in about 2 weeks. So I'm starting the season off ProGolfTour in Turkey, just try to get in the swing of things. I haven't played a tournament round of golf since the beginning of November last year. So the first couple events are going to be on a ProGolfTour, and then once the Challenge Tour European Tour swing starts, that's when I'm going to get my opportunities there, and that's where I'm going to try to what do you want to say? Like, show what I have practiced over the last couple months and try to shoot some good scores and present some good results.
So obviously you set goals, and we talk about goals and we talk about all those things, but the coolest thing for you is that you're not trying to be where you're not yet, right? So you're playing these pro golf events. If you finish inside the top 5 in that order of merit, you automatically get to skip through a few stages of DPQ school. But these Challenge Tour opportunities, you've had some. You've already won once on the Pro Golf Tour. You've played a lot of events. What have you learned since you've started your professional career that maybe you're going to be able to apply this year?
I think the most important thing I've learned so far is learn to say no. Learn to say no, don't go hit balls, don't go practice, put the clubs in the car, hotel room, whatnot, and just reset the mind for the next day. Because if you're playing back-to-back weeks, like, it's long. You're playing a couple practice rounds. You're playing every day, hopefully, if you make the cut. And being able to say no and conserve your energy and be very thoughtful with your practice and when you get to practice during a tournament is something that I am still learning. But I have learned so much over the last season and a half I've been a professional, where I think that's going to help me going forward, because now I know I won't do the same dumb mistake twice.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you also do something that's very impressive. Can you talk a little bit about the way that you train on the road physically, the way that you recover, and the practices or habits that you put in place to have your body at an optimal performance?
So, like you said, I wasn't really a big guy in the gym, but my gym journey, you could say, started during COVID, where everything was shut down, and I was like, okay, let's use this time wisely. So I literally spent 4 or 5 hours in the gym every day. You couldn't do anything. Everything back home was closed. And I learned that, okay, so I'm going to the gym. Now my body doesn't hurt. Oh, I'm more flexible. Oh, I can hit it farther. I can hit shots I didn't think I could hit before, because now my body is more stable than it was before. And now with the coach I'm working at back home, Sebastian Smolenyak, we've put a large emphasis on, since golf is such a one-sided game, balancing it out. And a lot of my dynamic warm-ups or static warm-ups that I have 2 routines that I just interchange every round or every day. I play a tournament round, and it just puts my body in a prime state where when I get to the range in the morning, I'm not warming up, I'm not stretching, I'm just, all right, let's go, let's hit shots, because I'm already primed to hit shots.
That's amazing. And Sebastian's done an incredible job with your body, and your effort has been nothing but impeccable since that journey started in COVID. You also recover really well. So for the listeners to understand, you're doing this dynamic warm-up, whether it's in the fitness trailer if that's provided, or if it's in the hotel room if you have to do it, or the locker room. But what does it look like after a round? What are the things that Teddy's now doing that maybe Teddy when he was 15 isn't doing?
So when Teddy was 15, he wouldn't do anything. He would probably have some Chipotle and go to sleep. No stretching, no foam rolling, no nothing. So when I'm done with a round, I do my warm-up over again, because it loosens up the body parts that got stiff during the round, the hips, back, whatnot. After that, always foam roll, stretch out, and then I started using Normatex, the compression sleeve legs, and it doesn't, like, you don't feel a big difference the next day, but like your legs aren't as heavy, you could say. And if you play a lot of rounds of golf like I have over the last couple seasons, it does help when your legs aren't feeling a little groggy on the next morning when you stand on the first tee.
That's amazing. So you're warming up, you're playing, then you're redoing that warm-up, then you're doing Normatex. When you're doing that recovery, I mean, obviously as your coach, I know this, but you're obsessed with data, and you do an amazing job of keeping your stats, looking at that information. The guys at Upgame have been phenomenal and a great addition to the team. Why are you so obsessed with keeping your stats and reviewing those stats?
So it's because of my dad. My dad's a very big math guy, stat guy, and he actually has an Excel sheet of every single tournament round of golf I've played since I was 8 years old on his computer. It's still the same computer he's had for 15 or whatnot years. It's in that computer. Every round's in there. And I think me being a stat guy helps me plan better. Like, I just go on the Upgame app, use the plan around feature, and I'm not guessing. All right, what shot am I going to hit on this hole? What club? I just go on Upgame, plan my round. All right, driver. Dispersion is a little too wide for this hole. All right, let's hit 3 wood then. And it just makes golf a lot easier. You're not guessing when you get out there during the practice round. You already have a game plan, you could say, that you're going to tweak throughout the week, but it just makes life a lot easier. Me being a numbers guy, it just makes everything easy.
Amazing. And some of those numbers are extremely impressive. So for everybody to understand, you are gaining a ridiculous amount of strokes with your approach play. Your iron game is, I mean, it would be hard-pressed not to say as good as anybody out there. And for sure. And I think those stats help you see that it is, right? Where do the stats kind of give you that opportunity to say, now I need to spend time in these areas? Or are the stats more about you getting to sit down and go, wow, I shot 67 today because of this? Or is it, I could have shot 65 because of if I had done this better? Where do you see yourself using those stats? Are you more of a praise what you did that day, or let's tweak this for tomorrow's round to go a little bit deeper?
So first, like, if I'm dissecting a round of golf, whether it's good or bad, I like to look at one important thing. Was it a course management error, or was it just a bad golfer? If it's just a bad golfer, then it's an easy fix, but you're trying to take away the things you can control, and that's course management. If you can plan your way around the golf course, you're already winning on the field. Like, if you're not losing these dumb shots because you hit a driver and the fairway was firm and it went OB, like I've done when I was younger, but now it's hard to explain. It's second nature to me now to look at a golf hole and not overthink it. I step up to the tee. I already have my plan from Upgame, and then I change the plan based on the course conditions that week.
Yeah, that's called chunking, and expert performers take in more information, and you just did an amazing job explaining that. So incredible. And I think for everyone, if you're not already using a stats program, Teddy, you just explained to them why they should. I think as a junior golfer, we were able to use it as a way to take emotion out and be more clear about what does the data say, instead of you miss a 7-footer on the last 3 holes for birdie and it's like, I just putted bad. Now we have the data to say that's actually not true. So go ahead.
Yeah, like I used to be a guy when it came to putting. Stats were only, if you made the putt or missed the putt. But now it's, all right, how is your speed? Speed is probably one of the most crucial things for me. And it's actually helped me dissect my putting to a point where I'm not so critical of my stroke, but more critical of how I actually hit the putt. Was the putt the right speed for this line? Was it not? And that has definitely helped me see an improvement in my putting. It's not great still, by no means, but I'm seeing those small changes that have helped me improve some parts of my putting that are helping me overall in my golf game.
That's amazing. I'm like, I'm beaming with pride with that answer. That's incredible. So, Challenge Tour. The name itself actually is amazing because it is a challenge, right? Sometimes you're out there and you play an event, and some people don't even know this, but there's multiple events on a Challenge Tour where you can't even hit driver on the range. You have to go over to that little net and hit in the net. So when people see this week, they see the waste management and they see the 16th hole and they see this incredible display of golf heaven. That is actually not what pro golf is. That's what pro golf is at the highest level. But can you shed some light on what it's like to warm up hitting a driver into a net, or what is it like on the Challenge Tour?
So if we're not allowed to hit driver on the range during Challenge Tour events, like as players, we complain a little bit about that. So maybe we'll hit a couple 50%ers, or maybe we'll hit left or right if there's a field left or right at the driving range and try to hit some. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like at that point, you're only trying to warm up. You're just trying to make contact with the face of the driver. And then once you go to the first hole, if it's a driver, you're like, all right, I don't know how I was hitting it on the range. So what are we going to do here? So I tend to club down, and I'll just hit a hybrid or hit a 3-iron or 3 with a club I was able to hit on the range, just so I don't start the round off bad. But golf is definitely not as star-spangled banner, you could say, as it is on the PGA Tour on the lower levels in Europe, for sure.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, Casey and I were talking about this before. It's different, right? And especially with what's going on in golf right now, the huge injection of money into the PGA Tour or Live or whatever. My concern is what it looks like for you guys and what it looks like for that up-and-coming player if there becomes this super world tour. That obviously affects you, right? Because it's going to be, now you have to go through multiple tours. So kind of, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but what's your take on where we're going? And not so much is this right or is this wrong, but this is your business and this is what you do for a living. So obviously you're very switched on. What's your hope with what golf looks like in 2025 when you have a full card? What's the pathway for you to get from where you're going to be at the end of this year to that ultimate goal?
So I don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on myself, but with the way golf is going and the injection of money from the Saudi whatnot, I want to get on DP as fast as possible because I think those are the guys that are going to have some sort of certainty as to, are they going to be playing golf that year? Are they going to be making money that year? And I think it's just going to become just a harder situation for developing guys who out of college or just turned pro to make their way up on the tours. And at the end of the day, we all want more money. More money is always great, but I think the world of golf has only been looking at the guys who already got the money. We're out there on the Challenge Tour, ProGolfTour, at least you finish top 5. You're not making any money that week. You're going home with a loss. So it would be nice if the world of golf as a whole looked at not only the top 40, 50 guys in the world, but actually the guy who is 400 in the world right now. Because, yeah, it's tough. It's not easy unless you have actually made it and you're playing top PGA events or you're a top DP World Tour player.
Yeah, I think you said it great. I mean, I see some of these events and, guys are sharing rooms together. Guys are cutting expenses. And I think in Europe, you guys call them trolleys. They're, instead of having a caddy, they're just strolling this thing behind them or pushing it in front of them. I can't remember which way you guys do it in Europe. I think it's behind. Yeah, we push here, so I don't know. We can debate that later. But it's so different, right? And for me, I don't necessarily care if what they change. I just hope they start to invest in guys like yourself who have evolved so much from that 7-year-old that came over from Slovakia to now you being, some people might say you're living your dream. And I just don't want it to be so difficult for someone to make it through, whether that's the financial burden of playing these smaller tours or it's just this impossible barrier to break through unless you're already one of the top 50 in the world. So I really hope we can do this podcast next year. And like you said, you're not trying to put pressure on yourself. That's what's amazing about 2024 Teddy Teťák is this year is about you just embracing the opportunities and stepping up in the moment.
I think the big thing is I just have to stay out of my own way. I think me and you both know that's my biggest issue at this point in time is where I put this unnecessary pressure on myself, even though I know it's not good. But at the same time, you're playing for your livelihood. You're playing for a job. And it's different than in a lot of sports, you could say. In golf, you got to pretty much earn every penny you make unless you get some big brand deals. It's not like out of college you're a football guy. You're getting a big deal if you get drafted. In golf, if there's no draft, you got nothing. So you're trying to get some sponsor money or something just to be able to get by that year and actually just have the money to travel to the tournaments, let alone play them and have the opportunity to make money.
Yeah, well, I think Sunday we're watching a football game where that statement is actually being played out, right? You have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time against an amazing quarterback, and their bank accounts look different. Yet the opportunity to leave that tournament, the MVP of the Super Bowl, is the same. And that's what's going to happen to you this year. I truly believe there's going to be a moment where you might be side by side with one of those top 50 players in the world, and that's your moment. So what do you think you have to do when that moment arises to step up?
Personally, I'm not afraid of that moment coming. Like, I want that pressure of being in the final group. I want that pressure of playing against one of the best players in the world one-on-one. It's more of the unnecessary pressure, like I said before, that I put on myself in the lower division tournaments, you could say, or the previous rounds to get me up to that point. And I think my biggest thing for this coming season is not caring as much when I play, because I know I've put in the work. I know I can hit any shot out there on the planet. I know I'm a good putter, even though the stats don't say I am sometimes, and I just got to believe in myself because I know I'm good enough to get up there, and yeah, I'm just going to keep believing.
Yeah, well, we definitely believe in you, and you're definitely going to make it there. But I think for that junior golfer or the junior golf parent that's listening, you always continue to get better at this. But when you were a junior golfer, and even now, you just said you put too much pressure on yourself. What advice do you have for that, whether it's the 14, 15-year-old Teddy or it's the 14, 15-year-old that we're going to go see at the academy in a second? What can they do not to, well, I think you just said care less, but not be careless. But what are you going to give them for advice?
That's tough because it's different from person to person, in my opinion. But yeah, it's easy to say don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. But at the same time, you showing that you care is pressure, in my opinion. Like, you got to be able to go out there and treat it like you're playing a round of golf with your buddies. When everybody's playing with their buddies, they're having fun, whether or not, if you're 21, you're drinking some beers, like, you couldn't care less and you're hitting some of the best shots you've ever hit because you're not caring as much. You're just in that flow state. You see a shot, it's 180 yards, it's an 8-iron, you just hit that 8-iron. You don't care if there's OB left, water short, bunker long. Like, you just see the pin, you see the golf ball, you want to go from point A to point B. And that's the way I want to look at golf more. It's not take in the trouble that presents itself on the golf course, but just think about what I got to do to get this ball from this position to that position.
Amazing. And I think maybe you try and chip in a few times before you play so you can get into that flow state like the U.S. Junior we talked about. But I know it's not easy for you as a up-and-coming tour player, and this week, obviously, you're heading up to the Kingdom in Georgia, and you're having an opportunity to get fit. And I think sometimes that's overlooked by a lot of people when they see, you know, every major brand's tour truck at a PGA Tour event. There's not necessarily tour trucks at your Challenge Tour events or your Pro Golf Tour events. So kind of explain a little bit about your equipment and how you have to go through that process, because it's not just text, the CEO of TaylorMade, and the next thing you know, you have 7 sets.
Yeah, that's definitely not the case at this point in time, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, for sure, a player should have a broad idea of what clubs he's playing, what lengths, lofts, lies, swing weights you have, just to have a general idea of what's going on. But the way I am with my clubs, if I like something, I won't really switch out of it. And like, I've played the same shaft for the last 6 years, probably not going to switch out of it in the irons. And it's, yeah, like for me, it's more about hitting windows and seeing windows. I don't really care about the numbers aspect, like launch angle, spin, like who cares? If the ball's hitting the window, you want the ball to hit. It's a good shaft for you. And when I go up to the Kingdom in a couple days, that's really what I'm looking at. Like, we're all guilty of it as players. We always want distance. Distance is great. You want to hit the ball farther. Like, I'm guilty of it still, but I have changed more to where I want to get fit for something that, 1, hits the window, but 2, during a miss hit, I'm still seeing the shot do what I would expect it to do and not something off the planet crazy.
Yeah, and I think we talked, obviously, you've been here training, and this is kind of the off season, if you will. So this would be the time of year where we're doing a lot of the technical work. We're building the blueprint for what you're going to do throughout the year, from a movement side, from a club delivery side, from how we're hitting those windows, as you talked about. And I know when you're there, you're not going to ask them to fit you for the poor shot. You're asking them to fit you for a club that you can understand and feel, and that club becomes an extension of you.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, when I'm getting fit, like, I tell the fitter, you can turn off the track, man. I'm going to try to hit some crazy shots with this and see how the club reacts. Like, is it hard to hit a fade? Is it hard to hit a draw with it? Is it hard to hit it low, high, whatever you want to think? But yeah, it's I'm a field player. I'm a field player, so it's hard for me to explain, but I know when a club is fit correctly for me when I see that window, and I know I don't have to manipulate it to hit the shot I want.
Yeah, and I think the fitters at the TaylorMade Kingdom do an amazing job. They embrace that challenge that you bring to a fitter, because when you show up, you're not just saying, I want new clubs. You're going to see, is this new lineup of clubs worthy of going into Teddy's bag, right? It's not like you're going there to buy a set of clubs or to get a set of clubs. You're going there to see, is there something that I can add to my game that's going to give me a little bit of a marginal gain, right?
Yeah, I mean, for all the juniors watching this and whatnot, a new club is not always the best club, in my opinion, and that's the way it's going to be. Like, I have a hybrid that's, I think, 6 or 7 years old right now in my golf bag, and that club will not go out of my bag unless it breaks, snaps, cracks, or whatnot. So I'm just going there with an open mind. I'm willing to try the new product, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You're not going to put it in the bag. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what brand or how old the clubs are. If they do what you want them to do, then that's the right club for you.
Yeah, how important is the aesthetics of the club? I mean, we've known each other for 9 years now, and you've been a TaylorMade guy for a long time. At one point, they had a white driver head, and that was the hardest thing for some golfers to get used to. And then they did different things. So what about the aesthetics of the club, or is that not?
In irons, for sure, aesthetics is a big thing for me. Like, if I don't like what I'm looking at, I'm not a fan of it. Even if it works, like, that's probably my, you could say, worst trait when I get fit. Like, we'll find something that works numbers-wise but doesn't look right. Like, I don't really want to hit it. But with the woods, like, I'm really open to it. Like, I used to be a guy, like, when Titleist had those smaller heads, bigger heads, I think they still do. I always wanted the smaller head. Now I'm the guy, like, give me the big, fat, chunky one. Like, it's easier to hit. I want it. Like, I don't want to make golf harder for myself.
Funny, when you were a junior golfer aspiring to be a tour player, you wanted the tour head. And now that you're a tour player, you want the big head.
Yeah, when I was younger, I think I was like 8 or 9, and my dream set was Mizuno blades. And I would not want to touch those things with a 10-foot pole right now. Like, I want the cavity back. I want the easy to hit when I hit it off the toe, hit it off the heel. Like, I still want the ball to go a reasonable distance and not go short.
For sure. Last thing on clubs, how important is the ball?
For me, I think it's huge. I'm not going to name brands, but the ball I have now probably will not go out of my golf bag because I've been a guy who has struggled with spin, especially with the longer clubs, driver, 3-woods. And the ball I have now is a low spinning ball that I can add spin to it if I want to, but it doesn't spin out of control by itself. You could say, like, I want to be able to, around the greens, add spin to the ball. Like, I'd rather have low spin and add spin than high spin and have to take off spin because I think that's a lot easier.
Love that. And I hope people listening realize a lot of times players are perceived as just see ball, hit ball, but there's a lot more into it. And what you said is pretty impressive. For being a field guy, you're very aware of what you want your equipment to do, what you want your ball to do. We obviously spoke earlier. You're very aware of what you want your body to do, how to warm it up, how to cool it down, and that's impressive. I do want to go back, though, to the mind, because you said in the beginning that that's the differentiator for you. So as you prepare for 2024 and people tune in and they follow your success, what are the skills or the traits or the attributes that people are going to see this year that maybe is different from years past?
They're definitely going to see a calmer Teťák on the course, in not as anxious, not as wanting to make birdies fast, like a guy who's willing to wait and be patient, whether it be 6 holes or 16 holes, being willing to wait for the opportunity. Like, golf is not just one round. Like, you still have 2 rounds before the cut in most pro events. So even if you don't play well the first round, you still have the second round to get your name in the cut line, or if you don't make the cut, it happens. It's golf. Like, you see some of the best guys in the world. Like, they'll go out, win a tournament next week, they'll miss the cut. Like, yeah, it happens rarely, but it's something as golfers that we have to accept, that it's not going to be the best day out there every day.
I am so going to clip this, and I'm going to send this to you the night before every round that you play this year. I promise you and every one of you listening that Teddy is going to be so annoyed by November next year that he's gotten this clip hundreds of times. That is amazing. So a little bit of a change of scene, but like our relationship's unique, and like you said, we argue with each other, we push each other. I think you said you like tough love, but you also give tough love. I think sometimes the listeners and sometimes parents need a little bit of that tough love as well. And I think you can give that to them. And I think you have given that to them today with explaining some of the things that you've done. But there's a few things that I think you can still add value to. So I'm going to challenge you on this. But if Teddy was who he is now, when he was 15, what opportunities for growth would you have lost? Because I think a lot of parents want their kid to be perfect at 14. And I think you're this amazing human and incredible golfer now because you were stuck in your ways for a long time, because you felt like you knew more, or it was all about one specific thing and you weren't willing to change. So you think I'm wrong on that, or?
When I was younger, yeah, I wanted to strive for perfection, but as I got older, I realized there's no such thing as perfection, unfortunately, in this game. Perfection is what you perceive it to be. So if I was the same I am now when I was 12, 13, 14, I don't think I would have been where I am today, even though I'm not any place special at this point in time, but I have had some opportunities people would die for. So yeah, I think not being perfect is actually a privilege. If you're not perfect, you can learn every single day. And I think that's what you have instilled in me over these years.
I think that's amazing. And I need you to know you are actually at an amazing place. And there are players that I coach that have dreams of playing college golf, and those become a reality. There's players that I coach that dream of being on a professional tour, and they become a reality. I know that you're not at the point in the world rankings or on a tour that you can sit here and say, hey, I have 5 DP Tour wins, but you have everything to be proud of for your growth and where you are, and it's that consistency and slowly getting better that I think is going to allow you ultimately to come back on here, and we'll have an amazing podcast of when you make that level. But I think when you make that level, you're still going to want more, right? It's funny how that works.
You always want more. You're never if you want to be good, you don't want to be satisfied, but at the same time, you got to realize that sometimes what you're asking is almost impossible to achieve. Yeah, you want to shoot for the stars, but that's what the little Teddy did. He wanted to shoot for the stars, and if he didn't do that, he wouldn't have the opportunities to learn, to grow, and to become a better golfer, a better person overall.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like we've had some amazing arguments over the years, some funny times. You want to share a couple stories of the ones that stand out to you, and then maybe I'll change mine depending on how you answer that?
I mean, definitely, like, you could say the biggest argument or story we had was recently, 4 months ago, where I wanted to fire you as my caddy mid-round. Yeah, that, looking back at that, like, it was something that needed to happen. I was a little overconfident, you could say, going into that tournament, and it went south real quick. I put a lot of unnecessary pressure on myself. I went to the course early. I practiced more than I normally do, and it bit me in the ass. So, yeah.
Yeah, so just going to try and I agree with you. That's a story I was going to tell. Just to give context, right? We're in half of Spain, half of Portugal, depending on where you were on the golf course. My phone got charged some ridiculous thing because it was in 2 countries at once, for God's sakes. But what was also in 2 places at once was our relationship, right? We were there. We were excited. We went there probably with too big of a goal, and then you struggled, right? Actually, we played the practice round with, I think, the kid that ended up winning that phase of Q School. And in that practice round, I think even at dinner, I was kind of like feeling pretty good that comparing us to that player, I felt like, wow, we're in a great place. Not so much at the end of the week, but yeah, we struggle with that a little bit. And I think the reason why we struggled, right, is I don't profess to be a caddy. And there's times where I can't switch it off, right? And keep up and shut up, probably not my MO, right? So I think there were times where I was treating it like I was still coaching you. And I think there was times where you were treating it like I was still coaching you. And we have that back and forth. So the good news is when you finally do make it to that level that you want to get to, I will not caddy for you.
I don't want you to caddy for me. You'll be with my dad on the sidelines smoking a cigar with him probably.
For sure, and I definitely will enjoy that. And I think it's important. I wanted us to talk about that because I see it every other weekend in junior golf. I see parents caddying for their kids, and they have no business caddying for their kid because they either don't know the game or that child can't separate caddy and parent. And we struggled, right? We've been in this relationship for 9 years. I'm pretty good at my job. You're pretty good at your job. And we made a mistake where we tried to do 2 roles, and it doesn't work. So I would just encourage parents to choose. Do they want to be the coach? Do they want to be the parent? Do they want to be the caddy? And probably pick one and be really good at that instead of screwing up one and then having it affect the other roles.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's hard for a parent because I know all other junior golfers know that parents want the best for us, but in golf, like, you can't force the kid to hit a good shot. Like, yeah, you want him to hit a good one, but parents sometimes have to learn to take a step back and let the kid work it out for himself at times because that's going to propel him down the line in his college, junior career, and hopefully pro in the future.
Yeah, I think you and your family have done an amazing job of that over the 9 years that I've had the privilege of being a part of the Tetak family. For sure, it's still a work in progress, but just like you're evolving, I'm evolving as your coach. Your parents are evolving as your support team. And I think as probably the biggest piece of advice for everyone is if you're continuously trying to get a little bit better at whatever your role is, it's going to be a success in the end. So not to end this without putting some pressure on you, okay? But it's a big weekend. We got a lot going on this weekend. We got Live in Vegas. We've got the Waste Management in Scottsdale. And we got the Super Bowl. I want to know who you got.
Super Bowl? 49ers.
That sounds like an amazing bet. Why you got the 49ers?
I can't stand Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the Swiftie show.
I think it's more the Swiftie show because game respects game, and you have to know that you just said you don't like two of the best players in the NFL.
I like more of an underdog type player, and that's Brock Purdy in my eyes, even though people say he's got the best weapons out there in the league. I don't care if you can't throw the ball to where the receiver can catch him, you're not going to score a touchdown.
I like Brock too. I think he's an amazing story, and I hope he appreciates having an opportunity to play in the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, he's not going to win this week, but you and I off camera can put a little bet on. But someday, Teddy, when you're playing the Waste Management, or you're playing in Vegas at a live event, or you're playing DP, where can these people find you to be a part of your journey and to follow you? I guess I could say at this point, I just was looking at my phone. Teddy blocked me on one of his accounts.
I didn't block you. I just blocked you from being able to tag me in my non-golf account.
Okay, so let's make sure people go to the golf account. The other account, I'm guessing, had some things he didn't want everybody to see. But so what's the golf account? Where can these people find you?
So it's Tadeáš, which is my real name, everybody. It's not Teddy. It's TADEAS _Tetak on Instagram. And there you can see all my scores. I have a link in my bio, and you can follow me along my journey.
Amazing. And Casey will link that up too. And I think it's awesome, Teddy. And I wish you nothing but the most success this year. And I do think it's actually really cool how you use social media and you put up the scoring links for people to follow you. And that's a way for people to understand that you're not just posting when you win. You're letting people see the entire journey. And I hope this year maybe you do a little bit more of letting people see that driving range net or the golf course, or just maybe how you're caring less, so that you can really get to your goals and dreams. So to recap for me, there's a few things we're going to see from Teddy this year. A change a little bit in behaviors, right? Going to get marginally better, but most importantly, I'm just so excited to see you grow on this journey. What do you got for these people as a closing knowledge bomb?
Ooh, you put me on the spot here, ZP. I'd say stay calm, have fun, and go low.
Love that. And I want to do something that I'm probably going to do on every episode moving forward. We decided to come up with this name, Earn Not Given, for a reason because that's what I love, right? And that's a statement that I say to all my players. But you've obviously been one of my players, so this will be a cool opportunity to hear it from you. But what does Earn Not Given mean to you?
Having to work for it, not being given opportunities, not being given everything you would want right away, and being willing to wake up early, go to the gym, do your stretch, and do your warm-ups, and every day be persistent in what you're doing and waiting for that opportunity to present itself.
I love that. And guess what, man? That's exactly what your pro career looks like. So I'm so excited that your pro career wasn't given, that you're earning it every day. Guys, go follow Teddy, and go Chiefs.
Go Niners. Thanks, guys.
You want to see how we do it in the pros?
Changing your swing is about repetition without repetition. You don't just hit 500 balls with this thing and change your swing. You also don't just hit 500 balls without a thought.
Welcome to Earned Not Given.